Hello and welcome back to the Opener Sorcery. It's Devi, and today on Devi's Divination Corner, we are covering Hydromancy. So there is a lot inside of this. There is, of course, first off, let's define Hydromancy. It is divination through water, either by the ebb and the flow of the tides, observing it in a cup, observing it in a basin. But I digress. There is a whole slew of things underneath this. But just for simplicity's sake, let's just look at water overall. Okay? So, how to observe the water. What water are we observing? Are we observing an ocean? Are we observing a stream, a river, water in a cup? What's going on? The answer is yes. All of the above. Hydromancy is kind of one of those umbrella terms. And it's really going to depend on how you personally want to observe the water. Like what form the water takes. Into how you want to divine. So if you're somebody who would prefer to do it in the privacy of your own home, get water in a bowl, get water in a cup, some kind of a vessel, right? And you're going to place it in front of you. And either by kind of knocking the sides, like a tap on the side of the cup or the glass or the bowl or whatnot, you observe the ripples. So if it stays relatively calm, it doesn't really want to move a lot. You know, it's pretty stable. You can't tip the day. Dependent on what you are focusing in on and you are asking for clarity on. Because divination is all about your own observations and your own intentions, right? What you are intending to observe for. If you don't ask a question, it can't give an answer. Or if you don't have a prompt, it can't give you a response. So if the water is calm, there's not much change. There's not much that's going to be happening. It's not going to be like this gigantic upheaval or anything like that. No, not so much. And we're talking about the water in the bowl. If the water is moving, so it's not necessarily like it's going nuts and gonna tip over and just all of that. It's more of you tap the side of the bowl and it keeps moving. It keeps moving. Yeah, there's some change going on, but it's not huge change. Think of it as gradual over time. If you tap the side of the bowl and observe the ripples and everything that's happening and it goes turbulent, either one, think real hard. Did you hit it hard or not? But if this is just part of the observation and it's pretty turbulent, it decided to give you some big ripples, some pretty big things. That's some pretty large energies that are coming in. That is some chaotic movements that are ahead in terms of what you are trying to divine for. If the water kind of turns a little cloudy or murky for you. So this definitely, I have observed it. It's a very strange phenomenon where you knock it and then it's almost like it makes it harder to see through for a second. There is some things inside of what you're trying to divine that you're not necessarily going to be privy to. Take in everything into account. How turbulent is the water? How long does it move afterwards? Whenever you're asking the question and you're tapping the side of the bowl to observe, does it go cloudy or does it remain clear? Because if it remains clear, then you can see. You have the ability to see what's coming beforehand. But if it's cloudy, this is more so things that have to happen in a certain way. Let me backtrack that one a little bit. So from my own observations, whenever I see cloudy or foggy visions or cloudy or murky water, that one's more of, hey, there are hidden aspects that you don't know about yet. So maybe you need to clarify your question. Or if everything remains murky, it's a aspect that you do not need to be privy to as of yet. And this one more so goes into higher self, guides, guardians, those that you are technically asking these questions to, right? That are just like, this is on a need to know basis and you do not need to know. And as frustrating as that is, that's okay. So some people will tap the side of the bowl, right? Some people will drop objects into the water, say a stone. So if you drop something into the water and it's moving away from you, you got some distance from this thing. You don't got to worry about it. It is moving away. Now, in a sense, that can be very painful, especially if you're asking about relationships, because that's not necessarily the greatest thing if it's somebody that you care about and you're seeing a distance forming. Now, if this object, be it a stone, be it, maybe a personal object, moves towards you, that's indicating, hey, they're getting closer. Proximity. We love proximity. If it is sinking, there are hidden aspects. It's hiding beneath the water. Now, of course, if you're going to throw a stone into a bowl, of course it's going to sink. But if it is an object that can float, say a piece of cloth, and it sinks almost immediately, there's something heavy about it. There's something hidden, and there is a negative aspect there. Now, if it remains floating for a while, it's positive. And it's showing that clarity. So everything is on the surface. There is no masking necessary, right? So that's hydromancy with a bowl or a cup or whatever kind of vessel that you're able to put in front of you. But let's take it to nature. See, I'm more of somebody, I would prefer to sit on a creek side or sit on a beach and observe that way. And you're going to take these very loose definitions and you're going to have to interpret them for yourself, right? Because if we're going to a beach and the water is murky just by nature, say if I went to Galveston and I'm just like, oh my God, the water is so murky, everything must be uncertain, and I'm just blinded and I don't know what's going on. No, it's the nature of the water. Galveston has disgusting water. That's just the nature of it. But if the water has the ability to be clear, say you're at a river or whatnot, and it's known for, hey, it's got pretty clear water. But as you're asking and as you're looking and observing and divining from this water, you're asking the questions. And it becomes murky, or maybe the waves become less clear to look through. That's really your indication. But if we're just looking at a natural body of water and it's naturally kind of yuck looking, that's not necessarily an indication in this place. But very much the same. Water's going to have movement, right? Especially in natural bodies of water. So, we're on the shoreline, be it your favorite river, be it your favorite beach, whatever it is. We're on the shoreline and we're looking. The water is relatively calm and still as you are asking the questions. There's nothing that's coming up. And give the water a little bit of time to respond. This is more of a feeling thing. Just like any kind of divination, you're going into it with a sense of, I am asking the question and I'm going to be patient for the answer. And you'll be able to feel whenever the message is done in terms of that one. But if it stays relatively calm, it's stable. There's nothing that's really going to be able to rock that boat. If it's moving a little bit more than it would, not necessarily turbulent, but it's moving. It's got a good flow to it. There's some change going on. Change is good. If we are not changing, then we are dying. We are decaying. And still, that technically is a change, but I digress. Now, if you ask the question and the water gets really turbulent, and you get some good waves, it's just like, oh, that's going to hit a little harder than I expected. Say you're asking about a job, asking about a career, and then the water actually responds in kind, and you get some good waves with that. It's like, okay, that's going to hit a little harder than expected. Now, emotional upheaval and big things, turbulent water isn't necessarily going to indicate, oh, this is always going to be bad and I'm going to see the big waves and this is all negative. No. Emotional upheaval can be a really good thing. Think about it. If you're used to being in struggle, wouldn't getting abundance or getting the opportunity to have a job that actually caters to your life bring emotional upheaval in a positive way? Think about it. If you're looking at the water and you ask the question, and then the waves get a little bit murkier, they get a little cloudier, maybe your question wasn't the right one. Or maybe there's just aspects that you're not necessarily clued into yet. And then, of course, the clear. We see the clear water. We're seeing right through it. We're able to see these things as they're approaching us. So hydromancy is incredibly easy, and it's going to be all about what you are observing, be it in the bowl of water in front of you or in the waves on the shore. Personally, I prefer the waves on the shore. And technically, more than likely you can do this during a rain shower as well, which here in the lovely DFW area, we have just decided to have a downpour. So, asking the questions and seeing how the water responds. Find what feels right. There is another aspect to it, and this one is out of folk magic. And we'll go further into Malokia or Malokio in another video, but a way to see whether or not you have, quote, the evil eye, unquote, which is jealousy and just negative energies and things like that from other people. Technically, I would say that this falls under hydromancy because this is a way to determine whether or not you got some other people's bad intentions on you. So you would take that bowl of water, clean bowl of water, you take some olive oil, and you dip your fingers in the olive oil, and then you drip the olive oil into the water. And if it sinks, you've got the Malokio on you. Which means you need to do a whole cleansing and everything, but we'll cover that in another time. If it floats, that means you're clean. So sinking really has that negative aspect in any kind of hydromancy, whereas floating indicates purity or indicates positivity. But in many other folk rituals and just down-to-earth practices, hydromancy is just one of those core aspects of divination that I would say is necessary to understand, because you don't necessarily have to have a tarot deck next to you or runes next to you to be able to divine. All you have to do is to be able to observe nature around you. So this is Devi on Devi's Divination Corner on the Opener Sorcery, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.